Damn. That woman. Do you know her? She's so strong. So scary. Never seen it before. Okay. God. She just blew Serta's head off. Serta with the eternal fire can regenerate constantly, so it's useless. There is a limit to rebirth. This woman. The employees of the travel agency and the Avengers, as well as the people from the Demon League and the great underground tomb of Nazareth were whispering for a while. Looking at Serta, who was being beaten up like a giant sandbag, they swallowed in unison. How strong is number 18? The Super Saiyan that even Emperor Frieza of the universe could not defeat was hanged and hammered by her. This level of combat power, no matter which world it is placed in, is a powerhouse that countless people can only look up to. Facing Dormammu before, the reason why number 18 seemed relatively weak. It's just because her attack and fighting style is more power-oriented. Although she can also attack with energy, but compared to her fighting with her body, it is completely a heaven and an earth. Luo Tang sat cross-legged beside Hela, the goddess of death, not watching the almost one-sided battle at all. Although number 18 cannot kill Serta in a short time, it is more than enough to suppress him. Everyone watched with gusto over the solid ice condensed by Yaya, as if watching a big movie. Claire had already galloped into Denise's embrace. And Neza and Ulquiorra also came to the side of the crowd, watching the battle in the ice together. Tu Shan Rongrong looked thoughtfully at Luo Tang at the end of Bifrost, who was giving psychological counseling to Hela, the goddess of death. Intuition told her that Luo Tang's purpose of keeping Hela alive was not that simple. You must know that from the moment she knew the other party to the present, everything the other party has done basically has its purpose. Although Tu Shanhonghong didn't have such meticulous thoughts as Rong, but when she saw her little sister's expression, she realized what she was thinking. She covered Rong's little head with one hand, and turned the opponent's little head to the battlefield. Although she didn't speak, she expressed her meaning very clearly. Some things should not be controlled by us. Boom boom boom. Deafening roars continued to resound in the solid ice, and the flame titan Serta was directly hammered into rubble on the ground. The royal palace of Asgard has long been turned into a deep pit, and there is no trace of the original building anymore. It's just that the flaming stones that are about to move and continue to gather, prove that Serta has not been completely defeated yet. Can I help? Naza's immature voice came from above the solid ice. The people around Chi-Chi looked at him, who maintained a child's figure and was less than 1.2 meters tall. Can Neza take on the near undead Serta? You have a way? On the 18th, facing the flame titan that was constantly gathering and recovering, he was already a little irritated and looked directly at Neza after hearing the words. Zhen and Yuan returned to 1. Li Huo is in the right position. Control the fire formula. Hurry like a law. Get up. Neza pointed at the sword with one hand, and grasped the sky with the other, spreading into the solid ice, as if an eternal flame moved instantly upon hearing the wind. With a wave of his sword, Neza slammed his backhand and grabbed it, opening his mouth to swallow the swarming eternal fire. It is impossible for a mortal body to bear the eternal fire. You are killing yourself. Serta's head was condensed from a pile of hot rubble like lava. Boom. Before Serta could finish his sentence, he was punched by number 18. While swallowing the siphon, all the eternal fire was swallowed by Neza. Flames swirled around his body, and the special spirit pattern belonging to the magic pill appeared on his body surface. The circle of heaven and earth around the neck emits bursts of golden light, and Naza's body shape slowly changes to the appearance when he was released from the bondage. There is evil spirit in the eyes, and the fiery red hair is flying, with a temperament of looking down on the common people. The complexions of Tu Shanhonghong, Fei Shu and the others changed slightly. Naza's aura actually multiplied several times after absorbing the flames. Also, it's clear that there's something wrong with Neza from at the moment. That look just now was full of madness and desire to destroy, as if it wanted to destroy the whole world. There will be no surprises again. Momonga murmured in his heart, and the fire in his eyes trembled. He could clearly feel that he at the moment was not Naza's opponent. Standing in the center of the ice, number 18 narrowed his eyes slightly, but he didn't expect Neza to make a move, and the result didn't seem to be developing in a good direction. Neza raised his fire-pointed gun high, and Hun Tinling danced beside him. Grasping the Chankan circle with one hand, it is obvious that he wants to get rid of the last bondage. Snap. A crisp applause spread across most of the battlefield. Neza was hit hard on the back of the head, and the aura that was originally full of desire for destruction quickly dissipated. Luo Tang stood behind Neza, watching him regain his childish appearance, and rolled his eyes angrily. I was just now, what happened? Neza looked at his hands dumbly, his face was full of bewildered circles. The demon energy soared, and the evil energy almost controlled the consciousness. Luo Tang explained a sentence, looked at the flame titan Serta that was still reorganizing on the ground, and flew down from the solid ice. Neza's eyes were even more dazed, looking at the back of Luo Tang leaving from the solid ice, he didn't know how to speak in a daze. In the first 3 years of his life, under the concealment of Li Jing and Yin Xiniang, he always thought that he was a spiritual pill. Where did the spirit pill get its magic energy from? Is it just like what the people of Chentongguan say, he is actually a magic pill? Although Luo Tang's perception reached Neza's state, he didn't say much. Treating tourists is different from treating the world's natives. Unable to use mind gem and second expansion technology, which means that some things must be figured out by themselves. Luo Tang doesn't think that he can really be a master by simply explaining it. The pit is not small. Luo Tang landed next to number 18, looked at the surface of Asgard that was almost pierced directly, and said something casually. Asgard is not a sphere like Earth. Its appearance is closer to the appearance of the legendary floating island. The location where Asgard is located is the place where Asgard's formation is the thickest and its divine power is the most concentrated. The big crater made by number 18 is only about 100 meters deep from the outside. But in fact, the ground below 100 miles has been shaken and displaced more than once under her terrifying force. If you let it go on, maybe it will directly open the surface. Don't forget what you said before. Number 18 turned her pretty face to the side, punched casually, and hammered Serta to condense again. After completely losing the eternal fire, Serta was blown up again, leaving only the crown like a horned helmet. In the original book, Asgard's flame titan was destroyed, and GG was played directly. Luo Tang picked up the flame titan's crown, weighed it in his hand, and then put it into the system warehouse. This thing, although only combined with the eternal fire, can exert the greatest effect. The power that can be combined with the eternal fire is quite interesting. You can look into it later. Definitely never forget. Luo Tang waved his hand. Everyone has a love for beauty, and after undergoing transformation on the 18th, he obviously pays more attention to his appearance. It's just some tailors of the 9 realms. As the actual controller of the 9 realms, he can summon as many as he wants. Luo Tang and number 18 left the pit. Under his signal, Yaya melted the surrounding solid ice and filled it into the 100-meter deep pit. In a short time, the original Asgard turned into huge amounts of lakes. All the Asgardians gathered in front of Luo Tang and the others, constantly praising their bravery. A thank you made to Sokka Rin, Arturia and everyone in the Monster League smile. They came here, not to get anything by saving here. But after saving this place, being able to be worshipped as a hero will also make them feel that they have not paid in vain. Loki greeted the surrounding Asgardians with a smile on his face. As the second prince, the people of Asgard also paid due respect to him who had just fought bravely and charged forward. Repel the armies of the underworld and defeat the flame titan Serta. Although Asgard was quite devastated, it still held a grand banquet under the leadership of Queen Frigga. The atmosphere of joy spread in Asgard, and everyone was raising their glasses and singing. Although many places have been destroyed today, the war has passed, and a good life will always come again. The enthusiastic Asgard people kept toasting to those who came to support them. Except for Faye Squirrel, an incompetent old bone, drinking alcohol is a waste, everyone else drank a lot. During the dinner, Frigga found Luo Tang. The face that had always been radiant, became a little dim because of the events during this period of time. There is nothing sadder for a woman than knowing that her man is about to die. What's more, she has to show a strong appearance in front of everyone. Lo, Odin and I are leaving Asgard. Sitting next to Luo Tang, the Queen of Heaven, Frigga, has soft eyes and a flat voice. Is Odin awake? I'll wake up in a week at most, so, Luo, you're going to take over the government affairs of the 9 realms. So fast. In the end, he wanted to take me on a journey that I didn't have the opportunity to take when I was young. Frigga had a gentle smile in his eyes. After she finished speaking, she got up and left, continuing to toast to those heroes who helped defeat Hela. Luo Tang sighed slightly. Taking over the government affairs of the 9 realms is easy to say, but it is not easy to do. This is different from the Earth. On Earth he's in charge of Avengers in name only. In terms of specific management, there is no need for him to do anything at all, and human society has its own operating rules. But the Nine Realms is different from Asgard, from dealing with people's livelihood incidents to dealing with the relationship between the Nine Realms. The Nine Realms are so huge, he doesn't want to work hard like Odin. Even if he has the assistance of the Heaven system, why waste unnecessary energy on some things? Artoria. Luo Tang shouted from a distance, it is more appropriate to leave it to professional people to govern the country. Arturia heard the sound and quickly came to Luo Tang's side. She, who had drunk a lot of wine just now, had a slight blush on her cheeks. As the hero who defeated the goddess of death Hela head-on, she has attracted the attention of the people of Asgard. From the Queen of Heaven, Frigga, down to the common people, they all want to toast her. Even if a group of people toasted her just to drink a small cup, but when the number increased, no one could bear it. President, thank you. Arturia thanked her softly, rolled up her skirt, and sat beside Luo Tang. With a relieved expression on her face, she smiled and looked at the crowd talking and laughing loudly in the celebration party. Not many people here dared to come up to offer a toast, so she escaped unharmed. If you really want to thank me, I will leave the government affairs of Asgard in the Nine Realms to you in the future. Luo Tang said something to Artoria straight to the point. Artoria suddenly turned her head to look at Luo Tang, her eyes were filled with shock and confusion, and she woke up most of the drunkenness in an instant. Looking at Luo Tang's serious eyes, her cheeks, which were already flushed from being slightly drunk, turned completely red. Turning her head aside in panic, the dull hair on her head was shaking non-stop. People who were close to each other, at the moment, all stopped talking, their eyes constantly looking back and forth between Luo Tang and Artoria. Luo Tang looked at Artoria and everyone's reaction with a dazed expression. He bets. These guys must have misunderstood something. Facing everyone's eyes, Artoria's cheeks became even redder. With unconcealable shyness, she spoke softly. President, I'm not suitable to be a queen. Luo Tang opened his mouth and wanted to explain, but he didn't know where to start. If there are women in Asgard who are involved in politics, does it have to be a queen? No. He has read all the books in the library, but none of them are so particular. Although Odin became the Queen of Asgard, the first thing he did was to confer the title of Queen of Heaven and let Frigga assist him in managing Asgard. Odin's father did much the same thing, but he really didn't mean that. Damn. Diva. Albedo's face was almost distorted. She is willing to dedicate everything to the Supreme Venerable. Why didn't the Supreme Venerable ask her about this kind of thing? She definitely agreed immediately. I'm so jealous, so envious. My face is completely blank. Luo Tang looked at the envious, puzzled, or complicated gazes of the people around him with a tangled expression. He had never encountered such a situation in 2 lifetimes. If you don't explain it, the idea of letting Artoria handle government affairs on your behalf is probably ruined. If it can be explained, are you sure it won't embarrass Artoria? After all, this kind of misunderstanding is really embarrassing for a girl. Dumb king, you really give people problems. Luo Tang covered his face with one hand, thought for a while, and still felt that it was better not to understand this kind of thing. President, if it's just about managing internal affairs, I can help. Artoria seemed to be afraid of Luo Tang's embarrassment, so she added with red cheeks. Wow. That's no complete rejection. It's probably equivalent to, a man chases a woman, and the woman says, think about it. Hey, together. Let me just say, how could someone be willing to refuse such an outstanding man as the Master of the Nine Realms? Master of the Nine Realms, come on. The beginning is always the hardest, and the progress bar, you've pushed 2/3 of it. What's the other third? Step onto the high ground. All the people in the crowd, every word you say, will determine the nature of Artoria's behavior in minutes. Booing whistles sounded in the jubilant banquet. Luo Tang's cheeks twitched slightly, and he sighed deeply as he looked at the shy King Mao Mao, who was eager to find a crack in the ground. To be honest, he really didn't intend to tease anyone. You guys, forcibly assisting and driving ducks to the shelves, is it really okay? The Queen of Heaven, Frigga, looked at the scene in front of her with a little bit of relief in her eyes, and she was much more relieved than before. After getting to know Artoria, she already knew what an excellent king this is. With her assisting Luo Tang, the future of the Nine Realms will be peaceful and happy. The ceremony for the succession of the new king can already be prepared. Frigga sighed with emotion, raised his wineglass, and found the 4 warriors of Asgard, Geir and Loki, who were making noise in the crowd. Every king has his own succession ceremony. Although Asgard has been greatly damaged now, it is a new beginning if everything is left to be rebuilt. When Odin wakes up, they can fully surrender their rights. In the center of the banquet, Luo Tang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the people who started to drink together after the brief commotion. The most embarrassing scene was finally over. President, Goddess of Death Hela, where did you end up? Arturia's body was stiff, and she changed the topic with a blushing face. Although she wanted to leave Luo Tang's side to avoid embarrassment. But looking at the people who were holding up their wine glasses and staring at them, they still gave up this idea. After Hela, the goddess of death, was defeated by Arturia, few people cared about her life and death. Although Frigga wanted to inquire, she never found a chance to be alone. After all, from her standpoint, she cannot show any concern and sympathy for Hela who brought disaster to Asgard. Even if Hela is her daughter, she was in that position for a day, and she had to stick to her position and responsibility as a queen. There was some doubt in Arturia's eyes. She had made a guarantee for Luo Tang with the reputation of the night. Even if she believes in Luo Tang again, she still hopes to know where the death goddess Hela has gone and whether she has gained a new life. People in Asgard are full of fear and loathing for her. If you want her to come back in a fair manner, what do you think she should do? Luo Tang did not answer Arturia's question directly, but asked her in turn. Although Dumao Wang occasionally short-circuits her head, it is undeniable that she has the wisdom to be the master. After thinking about it for a while, I understood what was going on. The people of Asgard are full of fear for Hela, so if she wants to come back in a fair way, she must make great contributions. Not to mention becoming a hero admired by everyone, at least she must convince the people that she will never endanger Asgard again. Even if you can, put her on something today, just as a last resort, or just in the name of acting. In this way, it will be logical for her to come back again. Only. President, is there anything in this world that can threaten your existence? Arturia asked softly. To be able to figure it out is to be able to figure it out. In her opinion, the implementation of this matter is not at all difficult. After all, if the enemy is not strong enough, all assumptions cannot exist. Have. Luo Tang nodded, looking up at the bright sky of the Milky Way. Thanos, for him now, is not enough of a threat. But apart from Thanos, this universe also has the existence of the Celestial Group. In Asgard's library, there is an unknown past event recorded. As early as tens of thousands of years ago, the Tension Group came to Midgard in the Nine Realms several times to help the growth and progress of civilization. Odin's father discovered the existence of the Celestial Group, and regarded this help as charity and control, and was determined to get rid of this situation. After Odin became an adult, his strength continued to grow, and he also inherited his father's philosophy. After the Tenjin Group came again, he had a big battle with the Tenjin Group. No one knows the result of the battle, but after that, the Celestial Group gave up the Nine Realms, which is considered to have recognized Odin's rule over the Nine Realms. In the original book, the Celestial Group once showed up when Star-Lord arrived at the head of the fallen person of the Celestial Group where Collector was located. Although it is only a glimpse, it has already proved the existence of the Tiantian Group. When Thanos destroyed the Earth, the reason why the Celestial Group did not appear was largely because of what Odin had done. Perhaps, even they didn't expect that Thanos would directly destroy half of the people in the entire universe. Luo Tang has a hunch that it is very likely that his biggest enemy in the future will not be Thanos, but the Celestial Group. After all, those people recognized Odin's rule over the Nine Realms, but they didn't recognize him. And one mountain cannot accommodate two tigers. Luo Tang will expand to the entire universe sooner or later. Even if the Celestial God Group can acquiesce in his management of the Nine Realms, they will not acquiesce in his power radiating the entire universe. 66666 awakened from slumber shortly after the celebration of Asgard. Preparations for the succession ceremony of the new king began in full swing. The original Asgard has turned into huge amounts of lakes, and on top of the lakes, the people of Asgard, using extraordinary wisdom, began to build a new Asgard. The foundation floating on the huge lake is stably parked on the lake under the magnetic levitation and anti-gravity technology. The hard-working Asgard people, full of expectations for a better life, have built Asgard beautifully. Basically, every day, Sheni will have a new look. The place of inheritance for the new king boarding plane is set at the top of Asgard Bifrost, a rainbow bridge paved with nebula, which is slowly congealing under the necromancer magic. After Luo Tang received the notice from the Queen of Heaven, Frigga, he just silently nodded in agreement. He knew very well that Odin only had 2 or 3 years left in his lifespan. Frigga wants to take advantage of this time to live a life with Odin that he had no chance to live with when he was young. Although he can't do much, he is willing to give the two a perfect twilight love. Ding. One Punch Superman's World Ground Connection Station has been successfully established, a two-way channel has been opened, and the world timeline is being synchronized. The familiar system prompt sounded. Luo Tang sat on the sofa of the travel agency, and when he heard the notification sound, a slight smile appeared on his cheek. Fubuki of Hell stepped briskly and walked out from the gate of the world. He has neat long sassoon hair and is wearing a dark green corseted cheongsam. The 10-centimeter high heels made Fu Shui's already tall figure look even more exquisite. President, there is a bald man who wants to fight with you. Bald? Luo Tang frowned, and he didn't need to guess who the bald-head Chu Shui was talking about was. Bald Saitama wants to fight him. That guy who is lazy at all times except for special sales, will be fine. Want to fight him? With a somewhat speechless expression in his eyes, Luo Tang looked at Fu Shui and said. What did you say to that bald head? I said you are the strongest in the heavens and all realms. How about it, it's enough to give you face. Chu Shui clasped her hands in front of her chest, with a proud expression on her pretty face. The strongest in the heavens and the world. Luo Tang rolled his eyes, completely unable to understand how Chu Shui viewed Wan Ji. In the Senluo world, there are countless superpowers, and many powerhouses have even completely exceeded the definition of concepts and dimensions. No matter how arrogant he is, he will not really think that he is the strongest in the world. I think it's because you think it's more face-saving. Luo Tang sighed, and in a flash of thought, he understood Fu Shui's thoughts. It is impossible to hide the matter of establishing a travel agency ground pickup station from Fubuki's sister Tornado, and it is impossible to avoid the Heroes Association. As an employee of a travel agency, if the owner of the travel agency bears the name of being the strongest in the 10,000 worlds, it will undoubtedly be extremely beneficial to Chu Shui, and it will also be extremely face-saving. Ahem. Chu Shui saw through what she was thinking, and an unnatural blush flashed across her pretty face. With her hands behind her back, with a bit of shyness and apprehension, she pretended not to care, and then said. President, you shouldn't embarrass your lovely employees. Cute. Luo Tang looked at Fu Shui, who turned her pretty face aside with a funny face, and pressed the index finger and middle finger of her right hand on her right ear. Heaven, connect to Artoria. Luo Tang's voice fell, and through the 9 realms dark communication channel built by the supercomputing group of the heavens, he quickly connected to Artoria in Asgard. Arturia, who was coordinating with Odin and Frigg to deal with emergency government affairs, stood up from behind the case with a bit of surprise in her eyes. President? Artoria, I'm going to the world of Fubuki. There are still 4 days until your succession ceremony. Yeah, I'll be back on time. After all, he is about to become the 9th Lord, so don't you really need to come and see how to handle government affairs? I believe you. Luo Tang blocked Artoria's 1,000 words with one sentence. Although Arturia was unwilling, she couldn't find a way to deal with the president of her family who had made up her mind to be the shopkeeper. Asgard, Diva Frigga and Odin looked at the helpless Arturia and smiled at each other. Why didn't the two of them look like this back then? In the travel agency, after hearing Luo Tang's words, Fu Shui secretly clenched his fists, and his eyes couldn't help showing a somewhat excited look. During this time, she had heard enough of Gino's bragging about Saitama's strength. Immediately she can prove to the other party that Luo Tang is the real strongest. Where are you going? On the 2nd floor of the travel agency, number 18 leaned on the railing and asked lazily. Although she has achieved her travel goal, she still has not returned to the world of Dragon Ball. After all, the custom clothes that Luo Tang promised her have not yet arrived. After hearing the voice of number 18, Chu Shui was slightly taken aback, then a flash of understanding flashed in his eyes. Although I haven't seen it before, the realization of number 18 in the previous Asgard battle has already been discussed many times in the employee communication channel. Wrote. Fight. Want to be together. Luo Tang scratched his head and told the truth. Strong? Should be better than Monkey King at this stage. Monkey King. Interesting. Number 18 brushed back the blonde hair around her ears, narrowed her eyes slightly, and jumped down from the 2nd floor. Fu Shui's original coyness and shyness disappeared in the blink of an eye, and with a bit of a strong woman's demeanor, she raised her chin slightly and took the initiative to say hello. I'm Fubuki of Hell, an S-class hero, ranked 3rd. Number 18. The two women have similar short hair, and when facing strangers, their demeanor is also somewhat glamorous and arrogant. Between the eyes and pupils, there seem to be faint sparks splashing. Luo Tang scratched his cheek, and stepped into the middle of the two women, interrupting the tit-for-tat momentum of the two. He was already certain in his heart that Chu Shui and number 18 would definitely not get along. Let's go. Go and see that bald head. Luo Tang waved his hands at the two girls, changed the topic, and walked towards the world gate of One Punch Superman first. Chu Shui stood up straight, stepped on high heels, and followed closely behind Luo Tang. Number 18 tilted his head slightly, with a somewhat interested smile on his face, and also followed. The world gate of One Punch World rippled like water waves. Luo Tang took a step forward and had already arrived at the grounding station of One Punch World. The gold-red ground pickup station, with a bit of blood and brilliance. Before Luo Tang had time to look at the pickup station carefully, a shiny bald head came close to his eyes. Come and play with me. A bright yellow tights, a cheap white cape and plastic gloves. Saitama's low to explosive clothes obviously don't conform to the aesthetics of most normal human beings. Luo Tang scratched his cheek with his index finger, and leaned back slightly, avoiding the shiny forehead of the other party approaching. The strongest in all worlds? Is it impossible to get rid of this kind of intellect-reducing villain boss title? Speechlessly glanced at Fu Shui who was following him, Luo Tang sighed slightly in his heart. Myriad worlds are vast and boundless, no one dares to call myself the strongest, I just have a little bit of strength. Cut. A little bit of strength. Fu Shui, even though your strength has improved a lot, your vision is still not so good. A cynical voice came after Luo Tang finished speaking. The surface of the body is glowing with a faint blue luster, and she is wearing a dark green cheongsam with high slits. She looks like a tornado, like a little girl, floating in the ground reception hall. Luo Tang looked up at the trembling tornado, a look of interest flashed in his eyes. Having read the original novel, he knows very well that Tornado has an almost distorted desire to protect Fu Shui. Even though Fubuki's strength has improved a lot now, and may even surpass her, this desire to protect has not diminished in the slightest. The illogical provocation just now, to a large extent, was expressing her dissatisfaction with her sister's dedication to others. Moreover, this woman who looks young but is actually in her 20s probably has deeper thoughts. For example, measure his stamina and strength? Idiot. The voice of number 18 came faintly, looking at Tornado with contempt and disdain in his eyes. Provoking a terrifying existence that can connect thousands of worlds and span the universe. She really didn't know how stupid the half-grown girl in front of her was. This kind of thing, as long as someone with a little brain, I'm afraid they can't do it. Yellow-haired woman, what are you talking about? Tornado's psychokinesis spread all over his body, his emerald green hair was fluttering, and his eyes were staring at number 18 with unkindness. Yellow hair. Woman? Number 18 squinted his eyes, and a dangerous atmosphere lingered in the travel agency. Glancing at Saitama, whose face was full of bewilderment and her sense of presence had been extremely low, she turned her gaze to Luo Tang again. President, if you are provoked, I have a reason to take action. In order to protect the rights and interests of travel agency tourists, when tourists are maliciously provoked and violated, they can take reasonable counterattacks. Before Luo Tang could speak, Fu Shui who was at the side took up the conversation in a fanatic manner. Long Wan glared at his sister who was elbowing out with an unfriendly expression, feeling even more upset. Come if you want to fight. Get rid of all of you at once. The surging psychokinesis swept across the entire ground station, the tornado raised both hands, and the air was trembling crazily. Go to the mirror space and call, number 18, don't kill anyone. With one wave of Luo Tang's hand, the secret magic mirror space quickly wrapped number 18 and the trembling tornado into it. Kamar Taj's secret magic mirror space has a space that is almost identical to reality. No matter how the two fight inside, the outside world will not be affected in the slightest. Don't kill someone. After blowing snow, I belatedly thought of what Luo Tang told number 18. The originally ridiculed and amusing expression suddenly became terrified. Although she was in the staff communication channel, the listeners had mentioned the description of no 18 feet S strength, but she didn't have much idea about the details. How big is Bifrost? How wide is Asgard? How strong is the Flame Titan Serta? The strength of the world is different, and the degree to which the same power is displayed in different worlds is very different. Without seeing it with my own eyes, how can I fully understand a person's strength with just a few words? President, sister and number 18, there is a big difference in strength? Fu Shui asked Luo Tang anxiously. After all, They are sisters who are connected by blood. Even if the two of them are not on the right track because of ideological issues, and when encountering life and death matters, it is still impossible for them not to care about each other. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with it. Luo Teng waved his hands casually, not worried about the safety of the tornado at all. Although the strength of number 18 is much stronger than that of tornado, that guy who looks cold on the outside is actually extremely soft on the inside. As long as you say don't kill anyone, I believe number 18 will only teach Tornado a little lesson. After Tornado recognizes the difference between his own strength and theirs, he believes that he will restrain himself a lot. The heaven system, the limiter in Saitama's body, what do you think about the analysis? Luo Teng shook his head, threw out his wild thoughts, and secretly asked about the heavens system in his heart. As early as the first time I saw Saitama just now, the engines of the heavens began to analyze Saitama's body and the limiter in it with all its strength. As the strongest in the world with one punch, he broke the existence of limiters. As long as he studies Saitama's body clearly, the power system of this world will hardly have any secrets for Luo Teng. The subject of analysis, Saitama, currently has an analysis progress of 73%, and a limiter rule detection progress of 66%. Complete analysis is expected to take another 31 hours and 30 minutes. When the voice of the heavens system came, Luo Teng nodded slightly in his heart, and glanced at the database reference document. To detect Saitama's body, various materials such as 3 generations of divine body concept technology, life evolution equation, Super Saiyan genome, were used successively. Most of the data on it are actually almost the same as normal humans. Most of the remaining unanalyzed parts probably belong to the unique power of this world. The analysis speed of this kind of thing that is not recorded in the database is naturally much slower than the analysis speed of the original knowledge base copywriting. Well, if they leave, is it finally my turn? Seeing Luo Teng's gaze finally shifted to him, Qiu subconsciously stood up slightly. After becoming a hero and gaining power beyond ordinary people, not only is he bald, but even his emotions are becoming increasingly indifferent, as if there are few things in the world that can touch his heartstrings. And from hearing Fu Shui say that in another world, there is an existence so powerful that no one can surpass it, his originally silent heart began to move. That is the long-lost blood and anticipation. Don't disappoint. Qiu muttered something in his heart, and his fists wearing rubber gloves could not help but clench slightly. Since the cosmic overlord Poros invaded, he hasn't met anyone who can take his ordinary punch for a long time. Luo Teng stared at Saitama's big face like a salted duck egg. After a moment of silence, Fang just nodded slightly. He is really curious about Saitama's source of power and the nature of the limiter. And to truly experience the power of the other party can also better provide analytical data for the calculations of the heavens system. Raising his left hand, a golden circle of esoteric magic appeared in the ground station of the travel agency. Luo Teng took a step forward and came directly to the sky over the wilderness hundreds of kilometers away from the city. Saitama followed without hesitation. Fubuki looked at the location where Tornado and number 18 were originally, gritted his teeth, and also walked into the mystical aperture. Shesh. Why is it in midair? A lingering sound of complaints came. The bald Saitama, who doesn't know how to fly, stepped on the air, and directly became a free fall with his head downward. Boom. Forgot you can't fly. Luo Teng looked at Qiu, who fell from a height of 100 meters with his hands clasped in frustration, and plunged his head into the wilderness, and grinned slightly in embarrassment. Flying in midair with psychokinesis, Fubuki glanced at Saitama, who smashed the ground out of a big hole, just frowned, and didn't say much. She was still worried about the tornado, and she really didn't have the energy to take care of Saitama. Anyway, this guy is very strong, so I can't beat him to death. Well, it's okay. Saitama propped up his hands and propped himself up from the pothole on the ground. He patted the dirt on his shiny bald head, and said something with a dumbfounded expression on his face. Blowing snow, go further away. Luo Teng turned his head and said something to Fu Shui. Fubuki nodded slightly, and opened a distance of several miles without stopping. Although at this distance, the battle is a little more intense, it is still unavoidable to be affected by the aftermath, but she thought to herself that her own strength can completely deal with the aftermath. Can you start it? Qiu rubbed his head and looked up at Luo Teng, who was slowly floating down from the sky. Can. Luo Teng nodded. Be careful. An invisible airwave began to spread, and Qiu paused slightly before disappearing in place in an instant. Normal punch. A clear low voice came from the ears. This guy is really a good guy. The corner of Luo Tang's mouth curled up, and he decisively sent a good card to Kyu. Saitama's fist, even if he didn't dodge at all, would still just pass by his ear. This guy knows that his strength can easily hurt others. This punch is completely a tentative attack. Luo Tang raised his right hand, and a mysterious magic circle with a diameter of several meters in shining golden light appeared right in front of Saitama's fist. Boom. There was a deafening explosion. The ferocious airwave, wrapped in smoke and dust, swept towards Joe crazily. The clouds in the sky were turbulent, and the originally dense clouds scattered directly, revealing the blue sky. So strong. Kyu stared blankly at the rubber glove that was still smoking, and he clearly felt the indestructible anti-shock force fed back from the secret magic circle. Kyu looked at Luo Tang, who seemed to be understating his gestures, and his eyes burst out with a fiery brilliance. The man in front of him is stronger than Poros, the overlord of the universe, even much stronger than him. Maybe, he can completely let go of his hands and fight with all his might. Boom boom boom. His heart began to beat wildly, and Chiyu's originally dull painting style suddenly changed. On the sharp-edged face, there is a serious expression. He bowed slightly, full of momentum, and started to surge wildly again. Consecutive ordinary punches. Battle data analysis. The target is Saitama. The attack power of ordinary punches is next to the J-star. The speed is second to the J-star, and the physical defense strength is beyond the J-star. It is speculated that its original combat power only reveals 20%, 30%. Continue to fight. It is recommended to turn on the battle engine of the heavens. The voices of the heavens system kept coming. Luo Tang moved around, blocking Saitama's fists one after another with a secret magic circle, and asked in his heart. How is the data collection of Saitama's body? If the combat engine is turned on, will it affect the accuracy of the data and the progress of analysis? Because the target has not fought with all its strength, the data collection is slow. Turning on the battle engine of the heavens will not affect the accuracy of the data, but the analysis progress will slow down to 10% of the original. Then don't turn it on, continue to collect data and analyze his body. Luo Tang squinted his eyes and gave an order to the heavens system. Swinging both hands continuously, the golden whip formed by secret magic surged to more than 1 meter thick. The whip like a vine swept madly towards Saitama. Serious punch. Boom. As soon as Saitama's words fell, the collision of secret magic and fist caused wild tremors in 100 miles around. The wind of the fist soaring straight into the sky cut the mountain behind Luo Tang into a U-shaped depression. Are you serious? Luo Tang grinned, and his heart moved. The armor in the armor of the heavens quickly began to wear. The gilded secret magic pattern and the dark silver complement each other. The armor full of streamlined beauty and strength gives Luo Tang a bit of arrogance and inviolability. Swish. The golden wings spread out, and the originally suppressed power completely exploded. Luo Tang's eyes opened and closed brightly. That powerful and noble aura that no one dared to offend made the eyes of Fubuki, who was tired of dealing with the clutter several miles away, light up. The mobile phone in her hand kept flickering, and she kept taking pictures of the scene and sending them to the employee chat channel. Yeah. The big brother is so handsome. Come on, big brother. Artoria. Is there another battle? Let the president show a serious posture. The enemy is not easy. Denisa. Is that bald head the enemy this time? Liang Bing. Didn't start the engines of the heavens. And it doesn't look murderous. Dumbledore. I think it should be a friendly competition. Seiki Kusuo. Very strong. President, please come on. Little immortal doctor. Such a man really makes people unable to take their eyes off. Tasaka Rin. Little doctor, be more reserved. There are so many people who like the president. Little fairy doctor. It includes you, too, right? Tasaka Rin. Yeah. Employee communication channel was full of joy. Although the current communication channel cannot broadcast live, there are real-time photos of Fubuki, plus text commentary, which still makes everyone in the communication channel listen enthusiastically. The roaring battle sounds are still resounding, and as time goes by, Saitama also gradually reveals the terrifying power in his body. In order to prevent the destruction of the Earth in One Punch World, Luo Tang had to use the mirror space again. The battle between the two only shattered the Earth in the mirror image space. Is the secret magic a bit slow to keep up? Luo Tang looked at Saitama, who was full of blood and excited, and simply gave up the secret magic. Boom boom boom. The impact of the punch to the flesh made Luo Tang's viscera churn. A long time ago, he has been relying on the heaven system, and he has no enthusiasm for fighting, and he has felt the exciting blood for a long time. The cells of the body are agitated, and every punch that is swung with all its strength seems to make the cells scream with joy. The bones are trembling, the muscles are trembling, and even the blood in the body is constantly trembling. As if the shackles were broken, Luo Tang burst out with a violent wave of air. The gas, which was originally almost colorless and transparent, kept flashing golden light between accumulations and explosions. Click click. The mirror space roared uncontrollably, golden lightning danced and exploded in the sky. Luo Tang let out a low shout, and under the bulging veins, the originally pitch black long hair directly turned golden. A little bit of golden light finally turned into pure golden light. Super Saiyan? Caw. Boom. The mirror space with a very high upper limit of strength will eventually be fragmented. Qiyu stared blankly at Luo Tang standing in midair. The heat in his eyes not only didn't decrease in the slightest, but became brighter. It's so lonely. The feeling that life has lost its color makes him look forward to the appearance of a strong enemy almost all the time. Luo Tang appeared. Although he is not an enemy, it also allows him to see infinite possibilities and new goals. Under the highly integrated Super Saiyan gene and Angel gene in the host body, a qualitative improvement occurs, and the third-generation God body of the complete body takes shape, and the basic data is tested to measure the strength of the improvement. Found that the gene is unstable, and there is a refund call, whether turn on the engine of the heavens, maintain genetic stability, and maintain the current genetic state. Luo Tang looked at Qiyu, who didn't have much fighting spirit, and was about to restrain his momentum, but he couldn't help but pause slightly when he heard the prompt from the Zushin system. Can things like being transformed into Super Saiyans last forever? As we all know, the Super Saiyans in Dragon Ball can only maintain high-intensity battles for a period of time. If you maintain the Super Saiyan state for a long time, you will consume a lot of Kai. When the Chi is insufficient, it will automatically return to its original appearance, which is what the Heavens system calls genome degradation. The engine of the heavens is turned on, the state of the gene chain is stabilized, and the consumption and continuity of the current state are calculated. Luo Tang frowned, with a solemn feeling on his face that was very different from before. Although Qiyu is sometimes lacking in strength, he can also see that Luo Tang obviously has more important things to do now, and he is not going to continue handing over. There was a roar of energy from the dark plane, the battle engine of the heavens was turned on, and the high-level gene rewriting and high-level reality rewriting were activated. The genes in Luo Tang's body are continuously consolidated and stabilized by the ability of the battle engine of the heavens. The state of the gene chain begins to stabilize, delete the original degradable gene chain, and build a stable gene framework. According to calculations, the current state of the perfect third-generation divine body gene can continue indefinitely, and the dark energy absorption and consumption are growing positively. Continuous high-intensity fighting, full power release of body functions, can last for 48 hours and 33 minutes, and after the dark energy is exhausted, it will enter an 8-hour exhaustion period. The 3 generations of perfect gods are stable, and their physical functions have entered a state of slow and continuous growth. The upper limit of growth is temporarily unpredictable. A series of voices came from the heavens system. Luo Tang's fluttering hair fell slowly, and his originally surging momentum gradually became restrained. Feeling the surging power coming from his body, he couldn't help but evoked a satisfied smile on his face. The heavens system made it very clear. Now his body will never return to its original state. But in this state, the body can continue to fight for a long time. Every moment, the strength of the body is slowly increasing. Unknown growth limit? Does it mean that the growth limit has been sold so that even the current database of the Zushin system cannot be calculated? Heaven, this blonde hair and blue eyes is a bit of an eyesore. Like Quill's hair. Luo Tang stroked the bristly blonde hair on top of his head and complained helplessly. As an orthodox descendant of Yanwang, he has always been quite satisfied with his black hair and black eyes. This shamat-shaped blonde hair somewhat does not conform to his aesthetics. The hair color and hair quality gene chains began to be corrected, and the eye pupil color gene chains began to be corrected. The correction progress. 10%, 20%. 100% correction completed. With the high-level genetic rewriting ability of the Heavens engine, Luo Tang's small request was quickly completed. The original blonde hair and blue eyes turned into black hair and black eyes again. Saitama, who had been standing not far away, saw Luo Tang's change, couldn't help showing a dull expression, and muttered to himself. Transformation. I really want to learn this. I guess you won't learn it. With a slight smile on Luo Teng's face, he said something casually. Transformation into a Super Saiyan is something at the genetic level. Saitama's body genes and Super Saiyan genes cannot be matched. If the gene is changed, the combat effectiveness of this product will drop countless levels in a matter of minutes. After all, although the upper limit of the Super Saiyan gene is high, it is not high to return to the initial starting point. President, are we going back to the ground to pick up the station? Seeing that the battle between the two of them was over, Chu Shui slowly floated over from a distance. Go back. I guess number 18 and your sister have already finished playing. Luo Teng shrugged, and drew out a circle of mystical light, stepped up and walked in. Stepping into the ground station of One Punch World, he snapped his fingers and released the mirror space created for number 18 in Tornado. Kaka, there was a sound like a broken mirror. The mirror space was lifted, and the figures of Tornado and number 18 slowly appeared. Holding a wine-red cheongsam in his hand, Tornado was about to try on clothes in the fitting room, his eyes full of horror. And number 18, who was holding some high-end brand clothing, frowned slightly. As the mirror space shattered, all the clothes held by the two of them turned into light spots and scattered. Luo Teng's pupils shrank, and he waved his hand and directly closed the door of the secret aperture behind him. Saitama, who hadn't had time to step through the gate, looked at the vast and empty wilderness in front of him stupidly. Hey, I haven't gone back yet. Where is this place? How do I go back? Kyu scratched his head, looked up at the evening glow, exuding a powerless low breath. At the ground pickup station, the pretty-faced Tornado, wearing a thin bath towel, stared at Luo Teng unkindly. On the 18th, holding a cup of milk tea, she leisurely sat on the sofa with her legs crossed. Ahem, don't blame me for this, we agreed to fight, who knew you would go shopping and try on clothes in the mirror space, right? Luo Teng touched the tip of his nose in embarrassment, and turned his cheeks aside, avoiding Tornado's staring eyes. Fu Shui looked at the Tornado, then at Luo Teng, holding his hands in regret, his gums almost gnawed. Caused her to worry for so long, and this kind of thing happened? Hell man. Holding the phone tightly in one hand, Fu Shui was silent for a while, then suddenly stood up from the sofa at the ground station. He strode up to the front of the Tornado, and directly grabbed the Tornado's wrist. Sister, come with me. Hey. Hey. What are you doing? I need to change my clothes first. Psychokinesis collided in the ground station. Although Tornado wanted to resist, he was afraid of hurting Fubuki. In the end, he was forcibly dragged outside the ground pickup station. Troublesome sister. Number 18 crossed his legs, squinted his eyes indifferently, and walked out of the two people who met him at the ground, then lowered his head and thought about something. Zushin. How is the analysis of Kyu's data like? Luo Teng sat on the sofa, asking about the system boredly. After successfully crossing the genetic barrier and becoming the perfect third-generation god body, the heavenly system in his body has improved a lot. The calculation speed of 128 frequencies is more than twice as fast as before. And in the battle with Saitama, although neither of them showed their ultimate strength, they still gained a lot of corresponding data. The subject of analysis, Saitama, currently has an analysis progress of 93%, and a limiter rule detection progress of 91%. Complete analysis is expected to take 4 hours and 20 minutes. 4 hours? I'll take a look at the analyzed data. Luo Teng nodded slightly. The system of the heavens was running, and a layer of white was cast in his eyes. The human body limiter in One Punch World has different effects on different creatures. Because of the existence of the limiter, all creatures have a growth limit. It's like ordinary human beings can't break through the limiter no matter how hard they try. The peak of their power is inherently restricted. Like S-class heroes, they are considered to be born with extraordinary abilities. The limiter limit of this kind of person is far higher than that of ordinary people. Heroes, monsters, creatures, all of them have an invisible chain. Is it similar to gene locks? Different breakthrough methods give birth to different abilities. Interesting. Luo Teng stroked his chin with a thoughtful look in his eyes. S-level heroes, except Genos, Metal Knight, and Drive Knight, who he is not interested in, have different abilities. Zombie Man, Super Alloy Black Light, Pig God, Metal Bat. Collecting a variety of human gene evolution data sets can speed up the deduction process of the 4 generations of gods. The voice of the heavens system came, and Luo Teng nodded slightly. Although he has just been promoted to the 3rd generation of god body, he possesses the ability to destroy a planet with just a few gestures. But such power is far from the limit in Luo Tang's opinion. Not to mention rule-like strength, but pure physical strength, there are not a few people in the world who can defeat him. The road is long and long. Luo Tang sighed softly. What did you say? Forget it. Where did the bald head you mentioned who is stronger than Monkey King go? Number 18 brushed back the broken hair around her ears, and turned to look at Luo Tang. Monkey King. Do you want to kill him so much? Things installed here, if you don't end, you can't get real freedom. Number 18 pointed at the center of his eyebrows. In essence, she is not a person who likes to fight. Just like any ordinary little woman, she likes beautiful clothes and beautiful things. We'll be happy, we'll be sad, we'll be happy, we'll be regretful. Just. Ge Luobo. When she and number 17 betrayed Dr. Ge Luobo for the first time, they were directly controlled by the emergency stop device. 0. Although Dr. Ge Luo was killed this time, according to number 16, the restrictions on them are far more than emergency stop devices. If you don't kill Monkey King, complete the order given by Dr. Ge Luo. It's just a human bomb, it's not difficult to take it out. Luo Tang leaned on the sofa, raised his eyebrows at number 18 jokingly. Number 18 was slightly taken aback when he heard the words, his facial muscles trembled slightly. Hao Zhan couldn't control his expression. Wanji Travel Agency, in no 18 feet's heart, is a powerful organization beyond comprehension. As for who Luo Tang is, the owner of the travel agency, she naturally has her own judgment in her heart. Such people don't bother to lie at all. Now this expression. Besides me, there is number 17, number 18 put down Erlang's legs and was silent for a while before speaking again. It's not a big problem. I checked your body. If the 17th is at the same level as yours, I'll hand over the technology to you. After you go back, you can find any scientist to fix Bulma's father as a nice scientist. What do you want? Number 18 asked with a serious face. She knows very well that if you want to get something, you have to pay. The bottom line is that she is now a tourist, and Luo Tang is the owner of the travel agency. Their transaction cannot be fair from the very beginning. The corner of Luo Tang's mouth curled into a slight smile, his body leaned forward slightly, and he slowly approached number 18 on his cheek. Only after the brows of the other party's stare were flushed red did he speak softly. Just kidding. What? What? Can't you act like a baby? No 18 feet's pretty face was flushed, and the lingering coldness and sense of distance from the originally vanished at this moment. Behave in a spoiled manner. From the perspective of this kind of ordinary girl, she would do countless things almost every day, which was too strange to her. And, acting like a baby to Luo Tang? This is your condition? Number 18 took a deep breath and suppressed the throbbing in his heart. Definitely. Luo Tang shrugged his shoulders, with an expression of watching the show. For him, no 18 feet's troubled question is something that can be done in minutes. The biological technology possessed by Dr. Ge Luo is more than one dimension behind him. And on the 18th, this woman is strong, gentle, kind, and mature, and has nothing to do with the 30 attributes of Hei. What does this kind of person look like when they act coquettishly? Doesn't that happen in the original book? Pissed. Seeing Luo Tang's expression on the 18th, he covered his mouth and chuckled lightly. The shyness and surprise on her face disappeared without a trace. She leaned forward, and instantly embraced Luo Tang's arms. It's really bad fun, Mr. President, can you help me? Hey. This is not coquettish. Luo Tang stepped back again and again, but he didn't expect number 18 to be so bold. What kind of coquettish is this? Is this a blatant seduction? Then did the president agree? On the 18th, he looked like he would not give up until he reached his goal, and his expression seemed to want to pounce on him directly. I promise. Luo Tang looked at the other side's cheek that was forcibly approaching, and hurriedly responded. He was just playing a small prank, but he had no intention of teasing the other party. After all, he has enough trouble around him. Wouldn't it be good to be like this earlier? When will it start? Number 18 let go of Luo Tang's arm, held regret in both hands, and sat back to the original position. That displeased expression showed that someone was thinking too much just now. Oh, woman. Luo Tang's cheeks twitched slightly, and he couldn't help complaining in his heart. With a wave of one hand, the battle engine of the heavens starts, and the high-level gene rewriting and reality rewriting also start simultaneously. In just over 10 minutes, the hidden dangers in no 18 feet's body were completely removed. He waved his hand again, thumbed the big U disk, and he took it out of the system warehouse. Are you already ready? On the 18th, he took the USB flash drive with a look of surprise in his eyes. This kind of thing, no matter how you look at it, seems to have been prepared a long time ago. It's always necessary to solve the worries for tourists, isn't it? Luo Tang said indifferently. Number 18 stared at Luo Tang's eyes, and after a long time, Fang turned his cheek to the side and spoke softly. Thanks. Boom rumble, a piercing roar resounded through the street outside the station. Luo Tang frowned slightly, and turned his head to look at the soaring artillery fire in the continuously collapsing buildings outside the ground station. Although the ground station has not been affected in any way because of the protection of the system rules, the street that was only slightly old before has become completely unrecognizable now. One Punch World's ground station was established at Bald Saitama's original home address. That is, the uninhabited land of Z City, the base camp of weirdos. Although it is said that we often meet weird people on the street, there shouldn't be such a big movement in normal times. With a move in Luo Tang's heart, the Heaven system immediately connected and invaded the headquarters computer of the Heroes Association through dark energy communication. When I saw the shining rescue plan, familiar memories flooded my mind. Have you reached the second part? No wonder Genos didn't follow Saitama. Luo Tang muttered, not having much interest in what was about to happen. The weird King Orochi, although according to the level standard of the Hero Association, is even higher than the dragon level, but it is strange that he is interested in something that can be punched by Saitama in seconds. Moreover, this time the Heroes Association, even at the expense of the heroes, had to complete the rescue. The purpose was really not very simple. The Heroes Association controlled by the capitalists has completely become the bodyguard of the rich. If hadn't been in the original book, by chance, Saitama killed the monster King Orochi with one punch, and I don't know how many heroes would die. There is nothing wrong with saving people, and there is nothing wrong with fighting monsters. But the reason why they mobilized many people was simply because the kidnapped person was the son of a wealthy businessman who provided financial support behind the Heroes Association. It's uncomfortable just thinking about it. Do you want to change the status quo? Luo Tang leaned back against the sofa and muttered softly. Kyu was thrown in the wilderness hundreds of kilometers away because of the reason he had fought with him earlier. Without its appearance, this operation will inevitably suffer heavy losses. Perhaps, he can take this opportunity to change or replace the Heroes Association. Change it if you don't like it, he has such strength and capital. One Punch World has already established a ground station, but there is not enough right to speak in the world. How to complete the work of the ground station? Heaven, connect to blow snow. Luo Tang ordered to the Heaven system in his heart, and the dark energy communication quickly locked and connected to Fushui, who was several miles away. After a brief communication, Fushui fully understood what Luo Tang wanted to express. For her who independently founded the Fubuki group, and allowed it to take root in the Heroes Association and form a school of its own. In the case of complete transparency of intelligence, it couldn't be easier to achieve the goal. As long as Luo Tang can provide funds as large as the Heroes Association in the future, she is confident that she can completely ban the Heroes Association. After all, the Hero Association's practice of repeatedly compromising with capital has already aroused dissatisfaction among many people. If it wasn't for ensuring their livelihood, many heroes of the Hero Association would have left the organization long ago. Is there anything I can do for you? Number 18 looked pitifully at the weird man who was lying on the window of the ground reception station, yelling and insulting, but couldn't enter the door, and asked a question. Luo Tang lifted the shackles on her body. She is now relaxed, and naturally she is very willing to help. There's a monster in the ground. Fubuki and the others should have trouble dealing with it. Is it that disgusting smell? I'll get rid of it. Number 18, who can feel the existence of Qi, easily locked the location of the weirdo Wang Dash. The weirda's aura is different from the human's aura, full of filth and evil. Among them, the aura of the Monster King Snake is far stronger than other auras, so it is naturally very eye-catching. No hurry, the heat is much worse now, you should join Fushui and the others first. Luo Tang got up from the sofa and walked outside. What are you going to do? Meet some interesting people. Okay. Number 18 nodded lightly, without asking too much. Luo Tang walked out of the gate of the ground pickup station and pointed out that the magic bullet formed by the secret magic directly killed several strange people outside the gate. Without even looking at the corpses of the strange men, he casually drew a secret light door, leading directly to the depths of the ground. 66666, inhale, exhale. Hazy smoke drifts in the dark underground. In the darkness, the light of a cigarette's flame exudes a strange aura that cannot be concealed. A blood-stained young man with a pale complexion was leaning against the corner of the wall, smoking a stuffy cigarette one after another. S-class hero, Zombie Man. Chi-Chi, the golden light of secret magic appeared in the dark underground. Luo Tang stepped out of the aperture, looked at the tired Zombie Man, and raised his hand to say hello. S-class hero Zombie Man? Is it me, a human? A weirdo? Humanity. Hearing Luo Tang's answer, the Zombie Man stopped with his right hand that was touching the fire axe. He took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket and refilled another one. Smoking. No smoking. Luo Tang shrugged and stood half leaning against the corner beside the Zombie Man. Haven't seen you before, member of the private organization? That's about right. What do you want me for? No big deal, just look at your genes. Luo Tang told the truth, he didn't care about the Zombie Man's alert look. The Zombie Man fought with the vampire monster for a long time just now, and his blood is everywhere here. At most 1 or 2 minutes, the system of the heavens can collect all the data. The atmosphere between the two became silent. The Zombie Man's eyes flickered, obviously recalling some creepy memories. Luo Tang closed his eyes and used dark energy to keep locking on one hero after another he was interested in. Zombie male gene evolution data and human body limiter data have been collected. The voice of the heavens system came, and Luo Tang got up from a corner of the wall. The Zombie Man narrowed his eyes slightly, and the vigilance in his heart had already been raised to the highest level. Luo Tang drew out a circle of secret light and walked in. The Zombie Man looked at the disappearing circle of light in astonishment, his eyes full of puzzlement. What is this man doing? It's just inexplicable. Okay. Just meet up like this. The purpose of Luo Tang is just to collect the genetic data he is interested in. As for what these S-level heroes think, he doesn't take it too seriously. After the new organization is established, whether to choose to win over, merge or eliminate is something that Fubuki should think about. The ability of infinite regeneration is very similar to super speed regeneration. Is there a mutation here? It's interesting. Luo Tang muttered to himself, and looked up at the next S-class hero in front of him. Super alloy black light. Watching the opponent and the weirdo head-to-head, he just silently collected data on one side. Silver fangs, atomic samurai, pig god, sexy prisoner. He has collected all the genetic data of heroes that he is interested in into the database of the heavens. Boom. Just as he was about to leave the underground passage, the wall beside Luo Tang burst open with a roar. The S-level hero, Tongdi, dragged a tearful little kid, and ran out of the billowing smoke in a panic. Damn it. How can there be ordinary people here? Run away. I'll stop it. The moment Tongdi saw Luo Tang, his complexion changed suddenly. Slapping the side of the backpack behind his back with one hand, he swiftly threw the rescue target in his hand towards Luo Tang, then turned around and assumed a fighting posture. Luo Tang looked at the movements of the little brat and Tongdi, who had been frightened at his feet, and black lines appeared in his head. What the hell? Let him run away with this little kid. Kaka. The school bag on Tongdi's back changed for a while. The mechanical arms that were originally supporting the left and right retracted into the school bag, and 10 layers of almost invisible transparent films blocked him directly in front of him. Quack. My uncle is already invincible. He is the top existence among all creatures. This time, I will send you to that world without even feeling the time to taste the horror. A burst of rampant and strange laughter came from the hole in the wall filled with smoke and dust. The strange figure, who looked like a human but wore a strange puppet costume, slowly walked out of the hole. Slow bird? Almost forgot about this guy. The corner of Luo Tang's mouth curled up into a smile of great interest. He couldn't remember the reason why the dull bird became a strange person, but if he remembered correctly, this guy could continue to evolve after dying. In the original book, it directly forced Tongdi to a dead end. If it weren't for the heroic aura and IQ suppression in terms of pure strength, rounds of stupid bird killing Tongdi would be enough. Hey, why don't you run away? With a little bit of cold sweat on his face, Tongdi turned his head and shouted at Luo Tang and Xiaopehai. Hurry up. Take me away. My father is super rich. If you save me, I will give you a lot of money, otherwise. The little kid who had just reacted was about to pounce on King Luo Tang in an instant. Luo Tang's cheek twitched, and he turned sideways lightly, allowing the little kid to jump into the air and fall directly into the muck beside him. Otherwise what? Why do you want to threaten him? This kind of bad-tempered kid, he is already very kind without being educated in love. Still counting on him to run away with the other party? And run away. Luo Tang sighed softly, put his left hand in his pocket, and walked up to Tongdi. Seeing that the other party was about to twist the watch on his wrist and use the last resort, fearless titan, he bowed slightly, and directly gave the other party a head-scratching blow with his right hand. You. What are you doing? Tongdi looked angrily at the relaxed Luo Tang. This abominable guy, actually his brain collapsed? Damn. Damn it. Don't underestimate adults, kid. Kid? Tongdi's complexion changed. He hated others to say that he was small, although it was true, but he did something that no one can do. Candy? There was a trace of teasing on Luo Tang's face, and he casually took out a candy specially designed for coaxing children from the system warehouse. Well, thank you. Wait. Tongdi took the candy subconsciously, and immediately realized that he was being tricked. Luo Tang waved his hand and walked towards the dull bird with a relaxed expression. Another guy looking for death? Let me send you on your way. With a ferocious smile on his face, the slow bird rushed towards Luo Tang with a wave of its wings behind its back. Danger! Emperor Tong exclaimed. Boom! Luo Tang slapped the dull bird into the ground under his feet. The bottomless black hole and the terrifying roar from around made the panic-stricken Tongdi stunned. A smile curled up on the corner of Luo Tang's mouth, and he turned his head to look at Tongdi with a wicked look on his face. What did you say? Forget it. Tongdi swallowed lightly when he saw the broken annoyance barrier, and the deep hole in the ground. This is a dragon-level monster. Where is this man in front of him a monster? It can be suppressed with one hand, too strong. This kind of power, I am afraid that even his fearless titan will be slapped to pieces. The genes are starting to change. After teasing Tongdi, Luo Tang looked down at the bottom of the deep cavity. The severely injured dull bird has already entered a dying state, but the genes in the opponent's body are becoming more and more active. The heavens system is frantically collecting the data on the other party. This kind of evolvable gene is almost as rare as a Super Saiyan. The underground passage trembled crazily, and the aura on bird's body was constantly rising. A dazzling light came from the ground, and amidst the howling sound of the strong wind, the re-evolved slow bird flew to Luo Tang's eyes in the blink of an eye. The original double wings on the puppet costume have become 4 wings. The puppet costume on his body exudes a sharp breath like an eagle. Young fellow, I am stronger than the life of a phoenix, the battle is over. The dull bird stared into Luo Tang's eyes, with a cruel smile on his face. After re-evolving, his strength has increased by several chips, and he thinks that no one will be his opponent. Boom. Amidst the more terrifying sound waves than before, Luo Tang waved his hand lightly. The earth's crust was trembling crazily, and the whole city felt a poisonous shock like a natural disaster under this blow. The dull bird with a smirk on his face was shot into the ground again. The cruel words before, now it seems that it is Joker's monologue. Tongdi stared blankly at Luo Tang who was standing not far away. After a while, he spread his palms and stuffed the candy Luo Tang gave him into his mouth. I feel that my brain is not enough. Is it because of the lack of sugar, so I can't think calmly? Tongdi muttered to himself. His small face was full of curiosity and puzzlement about the unknown. Detection target. Slow bird, the gene has started the third forward evolution. The vitality of life has increased, and the speed of cell recovery has increased. The biological limiter has reached the limit, and the evolution has terminated. The target life form is rapidly decaying. Luo Tang narrowed his eyes slightly, and clearly saw the Baizhong underground. The slow bird that had evolved again died quickly because it reached the limit of the biological limiter. The biological limiter of the One Punch world has blocked the possibility of infinite breakthroughs for species. If it weren't for this world, relying on this unreasonable characteristic, perhaps the slow bird could really become a remarkable existence. Is it over? Tongdi walked to Luo Tang's side, and also looked into the bottomless black hole. Well, the life breath is gone. Luo Tang nodded, turned and prepared to leave indifferently. Can you tell me your name? Luo Tang. Luo Tang, I seem to have heard it somewhere. Kids, don't think so much, enjoy your childhood. Luo Tang placed one hand on the top of Tongdi's head, who looked like a little adult, and directly ruined the neatly combed hairstyle. Hateful. Tongdi raised his small hand angrily, but the difference in strength was too great, and he was completely unable to resist this atrocity. Every stage of life is precious, don't wait until you lose it to regret it, goodbye. Luo Tang smiled, drew out a circle of mystical light, and walked out of the dark underground. Tong Di looked at his disappearing back with unspeakable complexity in his eyes. Originally, this kind of word similar to life persuasion, he was the most disgusted. But for some reason, there is always a convincing magical power in those words. Strange man. Tongdi muttered, glanced at the little boy who was still shivering in the ruins, turned around, pulled him up, and ran towards the ground. Luo Tang sat in the ground station of One Punch World, looking at the data displayed by the Zushin system, with a satisfied smile on his face. Thanks to the massive amount of data just collected, the genetic research progress of Super Saiyan E has advanced to 55%. And the research progress of the 4th generation divine body has also advanced to 48%. Although it doesn't look like much, you must know that the research progress of the previous 2 data is less than 10%. Just strolling around, there is such an explosive growth, I don't know how long it is worth studying behind closed doors. The 4th generation divine body. The concept of dimensional order, extreme power. Luo Tang muttered to himself. With the perfect 3rd generation divine body, he already possesses such a powerful force area. How terrifying should the 4th generation divine body be? Ding, tourist Neza. The purpose of the trip has been achieved, you can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. After completing the reception of tourists, the host can choose any ability, bloodline, and items of Neza. While Luo Tang was thinking wildly, the system that had been silent for an unknown amount of time heard a familiar notification sound. B-level tourist Neza's travel purpose is very simple, just to find someone to play with. Ulquiorra and the angels originally didn't have any prejudice against him as a magic pill. After the battle to save Asgard and the Earth, there are countless people who know and understand the little guy. He who stayed in Asgard after the war didn't have to worry about having no one to play with him. Now that the travel goal has been achieved, it is likely that the little guy is finally homesick. Neza's ability. Luo Tang didn't delve into the reason why Neza completed the trip, rubbing his chin, thinking about what ability or something to choose. Fire-pointed spear, Huntian Ling. Although these 2 things are good, but after seeing them before, he thinks that they can be copied, and the value is not too high. Transformation technique, fire control technique? To put it bluntly, the spells on the Shenxia side are also the use of dark energy. It would be too bad to use the opportunities rewarded by the system to choose. System, can I choose the magic pill? Luo Tang raised his eyebrows and asked the system a question. Neza's body is the magic pill, and the predecessor of the magic pill is the Hunyuan pearl that surpasses the world. After being refined by Yuan Shi Tianjun, the Hunyuan pearl was divided into 2, and then turned into Dahe Lingzu. In terms of preciousness, the magic pill is much more precious than other things. Ding. Shenshin Lingbao magic pill has been stored in the system warehouse, please check it. Is it a congenital treasure? Luo Tang raised his eyebrows, flipped his hands over from the system warehouse, and took out a magic pill exuding scarlet aura. There is no difference between power and evil, it is only the user who distinguishes it. In the magic pill, there is extremely strong magic energy condensed. From Luo Tang's point of view, this devilish energy is just a violent dark energy that is difficult to control. Through the magic pill, he can almost understand the power system of most of the world where Neza lives, and further increase the types of dark energy he can control. Heaven, add another task and start analyzing tiles. Analysis target. Magic pill, start to analyze its power system, constituent elements, dark energy types, driving methods. A series of voices came from the heavens system. Luo Tang is enjoying the rare leisure while drinking clear tea. The rescue plan of the Hero Association did not go smoothly. Although Luo Tang killed the slow bird for Tong Di in the middle, there are more than 1 or 2 cadres in the underground Weirdo Association. The centipede elders, heroes, natural water and other cadres who were killed by Saitama in the original work still survive. With the dragon-level monsters getting together, many S-level heroes can be described as disasters and disasters. Fu Shui and number 18 were stuck in time, pretending to be in a difficult situation, and solved the behind-the-scenes octopus in the monster Wang Dash. The scene where almost everyone was injured and the dialogue between the rich businessman and his son after the war made the already dissatisfied heroes even more angry. According to Chuzu's plan, in just 2 days, various voices of dissatisfaction within the Heroes Association were raging. The mindless forceful suppression by those in power blew up the last patience of the heroes. Fubuki took advantage of the situation to win over Silver Fang, Atomic Samurai, Zombie Boy, Genos, Tongdi, Vest Venerable, Saitama and others, and established a new organization, the League of Legends. A large number of A-level heroes and B-level heroes followed suit and jumped to Fushui's new organization. After Luo Teng manufactured a central core intelligent processor with cross-age technology, all internal affairs became. As long as the world's financial system does not collapse, the League of Legends will continue to have a shortage of funds. Because Tornado couldn't hold back Fushui, or in other words, finally recognized Fushui's power, and finally joined the new organization. Seeing that the overall situation of One Punch World has been decided, and many capitalists can only withdraw from the competition for hero ownership sadly, Luo Teng left One Punch World satisfied. Although One Punch World is affected by factors such as rules, there will still be an endless stream of weirdos in the future. But Fubuki, who has the right to speak, is already able to receive and provide qualified tourists. 66666 Marvel World, Asgard. The big pit that was originally created by the battle of the flame titan Serta has now been filled with the water of the River of Gods. On the blue water shining with the light of the stars, there is a magnificent royal city floating. The royal city, which is full of the Renaissance atmosphere of ancient Rome, looks like a nobleman in the Middle Ages, majestic and dignified. That inviolable aura, even if separated by hundreds of miles, still makes people feel a sense of reverence from the bottom of their hearts. It's hard to imagine how the people of Asgard built it in such a short period of time. Boom boom boom, the world bell, which symbolizes the peace of the 9 realms, rang. After the 9 bells rang throughout the world, the sun began to shine on the land of Asgard. The rites and music began to play, and with the increase of a large number of witchcraft magicians, the rites and music resounded throughout Asgard. The end of Bifrost keeps flickering. Many cosmic forces and civilizations, with rich gifts, set foot on Bifrost one by one. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. Nearly 1,000 defensive guns fired energy cannons at the sky, and the exploded firework was still clearly visible even in the daytime. Gorgeous colors make Asgard look colorful. The people of Asgard, as if they were celebrating a festival, were waiting on the streets early, waving colorful flags, and celebrating the new king's appointment. At 10 o'clock in the morning, when the sun filled every corner and dispelled all the darkness, the originally joyful ritual and music suddenly stopped. The Asgard guards sound their majestic horns. The solemn sound of the horn made all the people of Asgard and the alien civilizations and forces from far away quiet down. The king of God Odin and the queen of heaven, Frigga, stood quietly in front of the floating Asgard, looking at the end of Bifrost. A space-time wormhole with a diameter of 10,000 meters slowly opens. Welcome the Lord of the 9 realms, the King of the heavens. Odin opened his mouth loudly, and the sound shook the whole field. The people of Asgard and many civilized visitors who came to observe and celebrate followed closely behind, shouting in unison. Welcome the Lord of the 9 realms, the King of the heavens. The mighty sound echoed in the huge Asgard, and everyone looked at the super-large space-time wormhole that gradually stabilized with reverence. Like a sharp sword unsheathed, the golden and red warships of the heavens slowly sailed out of the space-time wormhole. Under the sunlight, the light of the battleship caused many people to cover up the glare with their hands. Many alien civilizations and forces who came to watch the ceremony couldn't help but gasp after seeing the whole picture of the warships in the sky. Although the warships in front of me are huge, they don't have the bulkiness of ordinary warships. That incomparable sharpness and powerful aura can be clearly felt by even the most stupid and dull person. On the exposed wings of the battleship, there are dense and directional space wormholes like a honeycomb, showing extraordinary technology that surpasses most current civilizations. The sense of space folding faintly revealed in the solid wall below the battleship makes all civilizations feel a little bit tingling. When did the 5 realms possess this terrifying technology? The warships of the heavens slowly stopped in the middle of Bifrost. 300 female angels in battle armor and long swords flew out together. Angel Ronning and Angel Ling, the leaders, suddenly drew out their long swords, and the sword tips touched each other, flying forward steadily. Wherever the 2 swords passed, the golden red energy starlight bridge took shape quickly. The energy bridge is quickly equipped with technology, which once again makes many people dumbfounded. Angel Ronning saw the astonishment and palpitations on the faces of the alien visitors in the distance, and a disdainful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Sister Ronning, put away your expression, the king of the heavens doesn't like us looking down on other races' arrogance. Angel Ling reminded in a low voice with a solemn face. TCH, little girl, you've been talking about the king of the heavens all day long, so be careful when King Tianji comes back to chat with you privately. King Tianji wouldn't be so stingy. Besides, how many sisters of Proxima Centauri don't worship the king of the heavens? Does Sister Ronning dare to say that she doesn't worship? You usually talk about it a lot. Little girl, I'll deal with you when I go back. Ronning restrained his expression, and also put on a solemn look. Shua. The two swords collided and flew straight to the main gate of Asgard, which was floating in the air. The translucent light bridge formed by golden red energy particles is like a red carpet in the sky. The gentle but domineering colors add a touch of luxury and dignity to the celebration. Ronning and Ling held swords together, and put away the long sword gracefully. After bowing slightly to Odin and Frigga, they stood on both sides of the energy light bridge. Nearly 300 angel fighters waved their wings and stood evenly on both sides of the energy light bridge along the way. Amid the shouts of the people of Asgard and countless people from the 9 realms who came to watch the ceremony, Luo Tang finally appeared on the bow of the warship of the heavens. On the whole body of the white robe, with the fire seed of fixed star, magnificent dark patterns of golden red are depicted. The golden belt made by dwarf exudes a faint rhythm of artifacts. Luo Tang took a deep breath and stepped onto the energy light bridge. The short black hair gave the originally slightly scholarly robe a bit of toughness. Just by the appearance, everyone can see that this is a king with both wisdom and strength. Luo Tang's expression was solemn, his steps were not hurried or slow, and he seemed to be in a stable group, but in fact, his heart was as far away as death. In the dark energy communication channel, he kept complaining to everyone. Do you need to engage in such a big battle? It's fine to pull out the battleships of the heavens. How many people are invited? At the moment, Asgard is already overcrowded. Not only the people from the original Asgard, but also the people from the 9 realms under his jurisdiction also did not know how many people came. Even the world of Great Sword, Overlord, One Punch, Fox Demon. Anyway, almost all the people who could come came. As the king of the heavens, you should stand on top of the heavens. How can the succession ceremony not be grander? Artoria, who was 2 behind and followed as a courtier, said something in the dark energy communication channel. Today, she is wearing a long gown that is 90% similar to Luo Tang. The coiled blonde hair was adorned with luxurious jewelry, and the already pretty face was even more dazzling at the moment. Ronning. Artoria is right. Ling. Sister Ronning is right. Tasaka Rin. Ling is right. Albedo. My great king, in fact, I want to be even bigger and bring all the undead. Yaya. Sister Albedo, you broke the formation, Sister Rin is right. Denisa. Xiao Yaya is right. Tony Stark, they're all right. Carol Danvers. Smelly man out, Denisa was right. The dark energy communication channel began to frantically refresh the screen. Luo Tang's cheeks twitched slightly, almost unable to hold back the expression on his face. Nye is a bear. He really can't chat with these people, he can't handle this kind of scene anymore, okay? Want to be bigger? Amidst the ceremonies and music resounding through the sky, Luo Tang finally walked in front of the king of God Odin and the queen of heaven, Frigg. With reassuring smiles on their faces, Odin and Frigg handed over the scepter, which symbolizes the theocracy of the 9 worlds, into the hands of Luo Tang. In the name of the king of God Odin, pass on to the 9 realms, Luo Tang, the king of the heavens, will be in charge of the divine power in the 9 realms from today onwards. Odin and Frigga spoke at the same time, and the voice spread to the 9 realms. Jotunheim, Wertheim, Vannerheim, Alfheim. When the creatures from the 9 realms heard the voice resounding throughout the world, they all fell to their knees and congratulated the new king's class FB. Even on the earth that does not believe in gods, at the moment has countless people worshipping devoutly. After all, Luo Tang is the strongest Asgardian supported by the 3 major organizations of Avengers, Wakanda, and Kamar Taj. In the minds of many people, it is no different from a god. Give it to you. Odin whispered to Luo Tang, pulled Frigg sideways, and opened the way to the supreme throne. Rest assured. Holding the Asgard scepter in hand, Luo Tang stepped forward step by step. Under the gaze of countless beings, he sat on the throne that symbolized the supremacy. Overlord, the Lord of the world, congratulations to the King of the Heavens who is in charge of the 9 realms, and gave you world-class props, greed and desire. As soon as Luo Tang sat down, the old bone wearing a black robe walked out from the queue under the throne. With a lift of the palm, a pair of guards slowly floated towards Luo Tang. This gauntlet was black and white when it was not worn, and the power of rules made all the guests gasp. The world-class prop, Greed and Desire, was originally a world-class prop worn by Mayor, a member of the Great Underground Tomb of Nazarick. Its role is to store and release experience points. In terms of the normal world, it means being able to energy absorbing and effectively infusing energy into any human body. Because of the particularity of the Overlord world, most of the top members of the Great Underground Tomb of Nazarick have reached their full level. In other words, there is not much room for improvement. So the value of this world-class item is greatly reduced. However, no matter how discounted it is, this thing is also a real world-class item. In the Great Underground Tomb of Nazarick, those who haven't reached the top are gone. Moreover, for Luo Tang, who has just completed a genetic breakthrough and is in a period of rapid rise in strength, this world-class item came at a very high time. Old Bone has lost all his money. Luo Tang muttered something in his heart, nodded slightly to Momanga, and secretly remembered this favor. World-class props, because including world rules, not all world-class props can be copied through the system. This craving and non-desire is like this. It can be said that this is the only treasure left in the world. The Old Bone took out this kind of thing, and Luo Tang had to pay back whatever he said. For example, apply the method of breaking through the limiter in the next Punch World, and try to let the Old Bones break through the lower level limit. Fox Demon World, Tu Shan Hong Hong, the leader of the Demon League, congratulate the King of the Heavens for taking charge of the 9 realms, and present Wang Quan Sword Code as congratulations. After the Old Bone returned to the team, Tu Shan Hong Hong stepped up to the throne. With a wave of her sleeve, a secret book full of ancient atmosphere slowly flew out from her sleeve. Luo Tang's cheeks twitched, and he really wanted to ask, what exactly did Tu Shan Hong Hong do to Wang Quan's family? You know, Wang Quan's family claims to have 3 great treasures for suppressing demons. One is soldiers. The second is Wang Quan's sword. The third is Wang Quan's sword book. Soldiers symbolize the strongest swordsman. Wang Quan's sword symbolizes the strongest weapon, and Wang Quan's sword code symbolizes the strongest swordsmanship. No matter how you think about it, it is impossible for this kind of secret code related to inheritance to fall into the hands of Tu Shan Hong Hong peacefully. This guy won't slaughter Wang Quan's family. With a tense expression, Luo Tang nodded his thanks to Tu Shan Hong, and glanced at Tu Shan Yaya who was standing obediently in the line. Xiao Yaya felt something in her heart and blinked playfully. The corners of Luo Tang's eyes twitched slightly. Alright. No need to guess now. This pod is not from Tu Shan Hong Hong, it is definitely from Xiao Yaya. Rin Tasaka, Fubuki, Denisa, Madoka came, Albedo and others took to the stage one by one, presenting extremely precious items from their respective worlds. Neza, Ulquiorra, Number 18 and others were also entrusted with the important task of sending their congratulatory gifts to the travel agency employees and tourists who failed to arrive. The magic secrets of the Moon World, the witch's tears in the Madoka world, the god-killing magic in the fairy tale world, the fairy bean in the Dragon Ball world, and the high-level magic weapon in the White Snake world. The treasures one after another nearly dazzled the guests present. Those treasures filled with special power and powerful energy fluctuations. As long as you are not blind, you can see how precious they are. And the names reported by the people who sent the congratulatory gifts made them tremble even more. Are these people from different worlds? Doesn't the title, King of the Heavens, transcend the sky, but transcend the heavens and all realms? Many guests are in a trance. What they have experienced today is far beyond their comprehension. After singing the ceremony, Luo Tang briefly thanked the guests who came to watch the ceremony. Standing before the high throne, looks down on the vast realm of Asgard and the countless people who look up to his face. After deliberating his words, he spoke slowly. If peace lasts forever, I would like to work hard on copybooks, promote agriculture and animal husbandry, and focus on business. If there are wars and chaos everywhere, I would like to put on a strong and sharp head, sweep all directions, and make a difference. Finally, I hope that there will be no war in the 9 realms, and why the soldiers will be dusted for a long time. Luo Tang's voice fell, and the people of Asgard completely boiled. Everyone was cheering and shouting. They have just experienced a great war, and their desire for peace is unparalleled. Although Luo Tang's words were short, they spoke to their hearts. Arturia, who had been standing behind him, had a slight smile on her face. Just like what Luo Tang said just now, if the 9 realms are safe and peaceful, Even if the armor is dusty, what is there to regret? After the declaration of the new king, the guests who came to participate in the ceremony were invited into the palace of the floating immortal in an orderly manner. Luo Tang, who finally returned to the backstage, let out a long sigh of relief. Odin and Frigga, who took off their crowns, came to Luo Tang with a relaxed face. "Aro. I'm so glad to hear your proclamation." Odin looked like I saw the right person, and Frigga was also smiling. "You are too happy. Maybe at some point, I will quit." Luo Tang said angrily. "Ha ha ha, I believe that when you step down, there must be an excellent successor." Odin didn't care about Luo Tang's complaints at all. After saying hello, he took Frigga and left directly. They are about to embark on their final trip. Ding. The tourist is artificially on the 18th, and the purpose of travel is achieved. You can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. After completing the tourist reception, the host can choose any ability, bloodline, and item of android number 18. After the celebration ended, Luo Tang was resting in the bedroom of the floating Asgard with a tired face, when the system's notification sound came. With a move in his heart, dark energy swept across Asgard, and he quickly locked on the position of number 18. It is different from Tasaka Rin, Denisa and others. Number 18 did not participate in the banquet in the floating Asgard. Instead, it joined the streets where people were celebrating, watching the laughter and tears of ordinary people silently. Perhaps it was due to the atmosphere of the celebration, and I felt touched, and the long-awaited travel goal was announced to be completed at this moment. Neza, number 18, is Ulquiorra the only one left? Luo Tang muttered to himself. Neza did not return directly to his original world after his travel purpose was achieved, but decided to wait until after his succession ceremony. On the 18th, the travel goal has now been achieved, and I will leave in the near future. It was Ulquiorra's travel purpose, and there was no movement for a long time. For Luo Tang, finding a heart is actually not too difficult. He who holds the mind gem, as long as he is willing, he can immediately give Ulquiorra a heart that can feel joy, anger, sorrow, and joy. However, he wasn't sure if such a heart would be what Ulquiorra wanted. Forget it. It won't work when the time comes, just let the world feel. Luo Tang frowned, withdrew his mind, and looked at the choice opportunity obtained by completing the travel goal on the 18th. The most valuable thing on number 18 is naturally its own genes. Integrating the advantages of many super fighters on the Earth and the Saiyan genes in Monkey King, his genetic potential is terrifyingly high. But this kind of thing, starting from the fact that the Heavens system can analyze and obtain the genes of others, for him, the attraction is greatly reduced. Moreover, his current perfect 3-generation divine body is already on the right track. Absorbing other genes rashly again, who knows if there will be any unpredictable and strange changes. Apart from the genes, Luo Tang really doesn't know what is more valuable in number 18. Save up some money, let number 18 go back, and find out how to make Dragon Balls. Luo Tang stroked his chin. In Dragon Ball world, Tien Bahao is the second visitor he receives. Relatively speaking, the position of the first visitor, Son Gohan, seems to be easier to obtain the Dragon Ball manufacturing method. Letting number 18 do it is a little bit far-fetched. As for things such as obtaining the genes of the great priest and the gene of the king, it is estimated that it is impossible to do it on the 18th. Damn, there's nothing to do, abilities, bloodlines, items. Luo Tang scratched his head with a face full of pain, trying not to scratch himself into Saitama. Host. The selection opportunity can be exchanged for corresponding shopping mall points according to the tourist level. Points? Yes, let's exchange them. After Luo Tang thought for a while, he ordered the system decisively. After the system's mall was opened, he has never used it so far. Although the several worlds where the ground pickup station was opened before have transported many tourists to each other, he has also accumulated nearly 200,000 points, which can be compared with the promotion probability of the fool. He feels that he still has more contacts. Probability breakthrough 1,000 points at a time doesn't sound like much, but depending on the strength of the ability, the probability of promotion is also different. Like Luo Tang's perfect 3rd-generation body, the probability of improvement is only 1 in 10,000. If you are unlucky, even if you get 10 million points fill money, you may not be able to break through. Absolute improvement. According to the strength of the ability, the required points will be listed directly. Luo Tang's strength has been increasing, and correspondingly, the points required for absolute improvement have also been increasing. When the Heaven system was first activated, he remembered that it only needed 100,000 points to upgrade, and later Lu gradually raised it to 500,000. After he advanced to the perfect third-generation divine body, it even directly soared to 1.5 million. His total assets are only 200,000 points now. Facing the astronomical figure of 1.5 million points, he is really powerless. The A-level tourist robot number 18 ability selection opportunity has been exchanged for 1 million mall points, please check. The sound of the system came lightly. Only 100. Wait. A million? Luo Tang's spirit, which had seemed a little sluggish due to many entertainments, was lifted, with a somewhat bewildered expression on his face. 1 million. Adding his original 200,000, there is only 300,000 short, and the level of the Heaven system can be raised. System. I remember before, Xiao Yishen, Lingding and the others had no chance to choose, right? How many points can that be exchanged for? Target ability can be exchanged for points when choosing an opportunity. It is determined according to the level of tourists at the time of reception. A-level tourists have 1 million points, B-level tourists have 100,000 points, and C-level tourists have 10,000 points. Lingbing and Xiao Yishen can exchange a total of 20,000 points. System. Are you afraid that the little fairy doctor will poison you to death? Hearing the system's answer, Luo Tang cursed angrily. The two who were only C-level tourists added up to 20,000 points. If this is exchanged, he is a fool. He doesn't know the current strength of Little Doctor Immortal, but Liang Bing's strength has already caught up with the A-level boss. There are only 20,000 points, he might as well save them for future use. If Xiao Yishen and Lingbing's ability selection opportunities are not exchanged for points, Luo Tang will only have 1.2 million points. Probability breakthrough, he has no interest at all. A man of destiny who never get another bottle touches such a probabilistic event, wouldn't he feel that his points will be burned? Rubbing his chin with one hand, Luo Tang carefully looked at the available upgrade abilities and items under Absolute Boost. Perfect Third Generation Divine Body, 5 million points. Black Sword A Yingo, 2.2 million points. Engine of the Heavens, 1.5 million points. High-level concept rewritten, 700,000 points. High-level void, anti-void, 600,000 points. High-level time rewriting, 500,000 points. High-level space rewriting, 500,000 points. High-level definition substance, 400,000 points. High-level genetic rewriting, 400,000 points. Space gem, 350,000 points. Time gem, 350,000 points. Magic pill, 300,000 points. Combat experience, 100,000 points. Needless to say, the perfect third-generation divine body is the highest achievement of Luo Tang's continuous improvement for so long, and it is also his biggest reliance now. The engine of the heavens is the strongest auxiliary drive on his body. Various high-level definitions and rewriting abilities are usually driven by the engine, but in fact, each of them is an independent function. This relationship is like the difference between a processor and a hard disk. As for the Black Sword Yingo, this thing was a complete accident. Luo Tang didn't even know. What kind of shit luck was it? The group would come up with this weapon by chance. Its bug-like ability is still his major trump card. Raise what? Luo Tang rubbed his chin with a thoughtful expression on his face. Almost all the abilities he has obtained so far are included in several general items. Just like the ability acquired by Yakumo Z, it is attributed to high-level space rewriting, and the petrification acquired by Seiki Kusuo is attributed to high-level definition substance. Although these abilities can also be improved individually as sub-items, it is obviously not as big as the overall improvement. The perfect third-generation divine body, Black Sword Yingo, and the engine of the heavens can all be ruled out for the time being. Not enough points, Luo Tang can't save more or less. The magic pill obtained from Neza before can also be temporarily put aside. No matter how good a baby is, it is still just a foreign object after all. On the premise of improving one's original ability, the priority is not high. Rewriting the concept of high level, this must have. The concept involves most of the world rules, and it is completely a cheating method. If you choose the rewrite of the high-level concept, only 500,000 points are left, and the high-level void and anti-void can be temporarily postponed. Leftover. System. I want to buy high-level concept rewriting, high-level gene rewriting, and combat experience. After Luo Tang thought about it, he decided on the option to buy. In the four aspects of time, space, matter, and genes, The reason why he chose to rewrite genes is because most of his current enemies are biological forms. Gene rewriting is the most effective way to improve his efficiency against enemies. As for the final combat experience, before Luo Tang returned to the Marvel Universe, number 18 and Saitama had a fight in the mirror space. The intensity of that battle far surpassed that of him and Saitama at that time. Although number 18 is simply not Saitama's opponent in terms of pure combat power. But the rich fighting methods and fighting experience make Saitama, whose power is infinite, almost overwhelmed. The importance of combat experience is self-evident. Luo Tang never thought of becoming an all-round melee magician, but what if one day the enemy has the ability to restrain the heavens and needs to fight hard to the flesh? There was a roar like a mountain roar and a tsunami. The engines of the heavens are running at full power. Under the mighty power of Wanji travel agency system, countless concept rules, gene sequences and combat experience flooded into Luo Tang's mind. Driven by the engine of the heavens, these things that seemed to be instinctive were quickly entered into the database. The high-level concept rewriting is upgraded to the top concept rewriting. The high-level gene rewriting is upgraded to the top concept rewriting. The combat response data is increased, the third-generation divine body is perfected, and the combat conditioned reflex is formed. The loading of the database is completed, and the research progress of the fourth-generation divine body has been accelerated, and the current progress is 79%. A series of voices came from the heavens system. Feeling the changes in his body, Luo Tang couldn't help evoking a slight smile on his face. Looking at the system mall again, I saw that top concept rewriting and top gene rewriting required points for upgrading have directly increased by more than 10 times. Although the points seemed like an astronomical figure, he felt a faint sense of powerlessness in his heart. But this kind of Phil Money feeling is simply not too cool. Phil Money is cool for a while. Phil Money is always cool. Luo Tang muttered in his heart. He became more and more eager for system points. Will they be able to receive a new batch of tourists after they are sent away on the 18th? If there are more ground pickup stations to be opened to realize large-scale world shuttle travel for tourists. Speed AA up. Maru. Top-level concept rewriting and top-level gene rewriting are different from things like combat experience. If it is not used in actual combat, it is difficult to see an obvious improvement in combat power. However, the analysis data collected by the heavens system made Luo Tang clearly feel the difference between heaven and earth. If the previous high-level concept is rewritten, like a cruise missile, it has terrorist lethality. The rewriting of today's top concept is the nuclear bomb level. This is the power that can easily change the world. Boom boom boom. A knock on the door interrupted Luo Tang's random thoughts. Please come in. After saying something softly, he turned over and sat up on the sofa, looking towards the direction of the door. Neza, Ulquiorra, and number 18 walked in from outside the door. Luo Tang, uncle, I'm going to go back. I haven't seen me for so long, my mother must be in a hurry. Little Neza put his hands in his trouser pockets at his waist, with a little bit of reluctance on his face. The time he came here was the happiest time in his short life. The people here looked at him without fear, disgust, or contempt. That kind of pure, looking at children's eyes made him really feel the beauty of the world. Everyone can communicate and play happily, even if they accidentally make a mistake, they will be tolerant and kind to comfort him. In contrast, his world. After you go back, be filial to your parents, they are great. Luo Tang touched Neza's little head, and whispered a word of advice. Okay. Neza nodded slightly. Earlier, Luo Tang had told him about the heaven tribulation curse. The little bit of dissatisfaction with his father had already disappeared without a trace after knowing the truth. You take this. Luo Tang took out a few fairy beans from the system warehouse. This is a congratulatory gift from Sun Wuhan to congratulate him on taking control of the 9 realms. If little Neza wants to fight the catastrophe, with these few fairy beans, he will not fail no matter what he recovers again and again. That kid is called Sun Gohan, right? Number 18 turned his cheeks aside, pretending to be indifferent, and said something. Well, Sun Wukong's son. The eldest son. Is he going to have more children? Cut. Let's go. I'm afraid that if I don't go back, I will be killed on the 17th. Number 18 grunted. Faint space ripples opened, and number 18 walked straight to the gate of the world without looking back. Goodbye sister on the 18th, let's play together next time. Neza cried out with a look of reluctance. Number 18 paused slightly, and disappeared into the gate of the world in the blink of an eye. The corner of Luo Tang's mouth twitched into a smile, Just at that moment, he had a clear perception, the throbbing in no 18 feet's heart. Ulquiorra. My birthday party. Neza looked at Ulquiorra hesitantly. If your world can build a ground station, I will go. Ulquiorra's eyes flickered slightly, but his expression didn't fluctuate. Both Neza had bright smiles on their faces, and the ripples from the gate of the world also appeared behind him. Then it's a deal. You must come. Say what you say. No one else can come, but you must come. Ulquiorra looked at Neza, who turned his head 3 times a step and kept telling him, and agreed in a deep voice. By the way, Luo Tang uncle, you have to come too. You create a ground pickup station first. Luo Tang's cheeks twitched slightly. He wasn't stupid, so he could tell that he was just invited by the way. I was blind to those fairy beans just now. After Neza finished speaking, he rushed into the gate of the world. The originally lively room returned to silence again. Ulquiorra stood on the spot, lowered his head slightly, and pressed his hand on the hollow of his chest. What does it feel like? Luo Tang asked Ulquiorra. Through the power of Mind Gem, he can clearly feel Ulquiorra's heart. Although his feelings are far more indifferent than normal people, they are not completely absent. The power of the heartbeat has weakened by about 1/5, and the body feels weak. Ulquiorra had no opening to cover up. This strange feeling was extremely strange to him. That feeling is called reluctance to part. Luo Tang sat on the sofa, resting his chin in one hand, with a faint smile on his face. He is already sure that even without Mind Gem, Ulquiorra can still feel his heart. My heart? Right. Does it produce other sensations? On Ulquiorra's face, there was a rare slight fluctuation, and in his eyes, there was confusion and a trace of expectation. The joy of reunion, the ease of staying together, the relief of seeing each other's happiness. Slowly experience it, and you will have it. Luo Tang's tone was steady and gentle, and the smile on the corner of his mouth was convincing. Ulquiorra restrained the expression on his face. It seemed that the confused person just now was not him. Ding, tourist Ulquiorra. The purpose of the trip has been achieved. You can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. Complete the tourist reception. The host can choose any ability, bloodline, and item from Ulquiorra.